This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
I heard you've been looking for me, but you look for trouble. You're gonna see that your words are dangerous. Your talk is cheap. So now I'm standing here. You tell yourself you know what to do when you realize that I am coming for you. Then you'll change your mind and run like a child when you see me standing here. Now I'm standing here. Don't question my heart. Don't question the fire that burns inside.
Place to Be Nation, welcome back to another episode of Extreme Resurrection. I'm James Gruenberg alongside Steve Riddle. Steve, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Getting excited here to talk about 2 more episodes of ECW.
Yeah, we're on the road to WrestleMania 23, which is going to take place in Detroit in April 2007. We're also on the way to No Way Out. So let's dive into it. We come from you from Omaha, Nebraska. This is ECW February 6, 2007. We get a recap of last week. Mr. McMahon just berating the ECW legends like Tommy Dreamer, Sabu, Sandman, Balls Mahoney, and RVD. And he wants to bring in like what he calls the new breed. He starts off with Elijah Burke, but Elijah Burke gets beaten up by the ECW originals. And boy, did he take a beating. Mr. McMahon was not happy on that one.
Yeah, Burke definitely he talked some shit and he paid the price for it.
Yes, he did. So we open up tonight's show with the ECW originals in the ring. RVD, Tommy Dreamer, Sandman, Sabu, and Balls Mahoney. Mr. McMahon comes out. He starts to make fun of the EC. Well, first off, he makes fun of he makes fun of Nebraska, asking, what's a Cornhusker? That's the Nebraska football team, and that's Nebraska's team. So he says, what's it called? What's a Cornhusker? He calls the ECW originals has-beens, says they have criminal records, and then he calls them dinosaurs. We all know what happens with dinosaurs. They get extinct. I thought this was some good, funny stuff here by Mr. McMahon, getting the crowd riled up and in true Mr. McMahon fashion, making fun of the state that they're in and, getting on the nerves of the ECW originals because Sandman looks like he was ready to swing that cane right at Mr. McMahon's head.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, the inside, reference about RVD and Sabu having criminal records definitely cuts a little close to home. And Balls there with the neck brace on. He was I think we talk about it later, but the night before on Raw, he pretty much got squashed by Umaga per Vince's orders. So he's suffering he's feeling the consequences from that.
Yep. So Mr. McMahon says that some, but not all, the ECW originals will be in action tonight. We don't know which ones are going to be in action. He lays down the law saying that any of the originals interfere in any of the matches, they'll be fired on the spot. So, in true Mr. McMahon fashion, he's punishing the originals. And then we get a Snitsky promo. Snitsky is coming to ECW.
Yeah, I'd completely forgotten that Snitsky was in ECW briefly, and he's got the shaved head now, and definitely trying to rebuild him as a monster after he had most recently been had that was the little foot fetish thing that he had going on Raw for most of 06.
Yeah, I forgot about the foot fetish thing. I remember like just Gene Snitsky coming in, doing the whole Lita thing, and then whatever that was, and now he's here in ECW trying to be that big scary monster again.
Mm-hmm.
So we have our first match tonight: Kevin Thorne versus Tommy Dreamer. Matt Striker is the special ref. Kevin gets on Dreamer early with a jawbreaker, a neckbreaker by Tommy, but Striker won't count a pig, won't count the pin since his knee was hurting. So, Matt Striker playing up the heel referee won't count Tommy Dreamer's pin since his knee is hurt. A clothesline by Kevin Thorne, and Striker then counts to 3. So your winner is Kevin Thorne. Good heel, sort of like a good heel ref by Matt Striker, but nothing really much here. So I went a star on this one, Steve.
I went 3/4 of a star. It was, pretty short and sweet. Having Striker as the ref, was fitting, because you're playing up the whole, like, these guys sticking together. Striker's selling like that he hurt his knee right as Tommy's going for the pin was funny, and then Thorne stealing the win there. I always kind of thought it was interesting. I mean, we'll obviously see the full collection of guys at the end, but it always kind of didn't make a lot of sense to me why Kevin Thorne was in this group. Like, he just looks so out of place with his, like vampire gimmick. It just doesn't fit the narrative of this, like, this new breed thing we're going with here with these like young, good looking wrestlers. I mean, like, obviously Burke makes sense. Striker in essence makes sense because he's obviously a good talker. And then when we get the other guy in, obviously he fits easily. But Thorne always felt kind of out of place. Like, was the roster that, low on depth that they had, like, that they couldn't find anybody else to fill that 4th spot and they had to go with Kevin Thorne?
Yeah, I probably would have put like Hardcore Holly here to make him, more of the tough man here. But I think it's because, like, Kevin Thorne's the only one with a gimmick, so it doesn't make sense, like he's got the vampire gimmick, But Hardcore Holly is basically just doing his own thing. And, there's really not that many heels left. I wouldn't know who else to put in. But everyone else who's a part of this group really does make sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe almost like maybe Mike Knox would have fit better. The only knock on I think about Holly is that he's been around for so long that he really isn't considered a young guy. So I think he wouldn't fit that narrative either. So I mean, like I said, maybe Knox obviously you can't. Obviously probably the obvious guy you put in there is Punk, but you obviously don't want to turn him heel.
No, you don't. Speaking of Hardcore Holly is backstage. He will prove why he deserves to be ECW champion. And then we get a little Bobby Lashley package here on, him talking about Bobby talking about him training in the military and him becoming a wrestler in the army and everything. He's got his family talking about it. So a really good package about Bobby Lashley growing up and wanting to be a pro wrestler. What'd you think of that, Steve?
I thought it was a fine little promo, kind of giving you a little bit more of an insight on Lashley, his time growing up, the fact that he was a good amateur wrestler. Obviously, we had already known that he had been in the army, so I think it was good little vignette here to kind of give the people another side of Lashley that they may not have known about.
Yeah, it was interesting. Like him talking about basically running up that mountain or wherever that was. Looked pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So now we do have Hardcore Holly versus Bobby Lashley. Title is not on the line here. Both men lock up. A clothesline by Lashley. Vertical suplex to Holly. Holly flings Lashley off the ropes. Lashley's rammed into the steel. Lashley gets thrown into the steps. Holly covers Lashley for a 1 count. Lashley slams into the turnbuckle head first. This is where it got brutal. He slams really It like just nails his head right into the turnbuckle as he goes after Holly. Holly moves, and it looked bad on that one. Belly to belly suplex by Lashley. Holly gets flipped over, and then a dominator to Holly for the win. I went a star. I went a star and a half here, Steve. I liked it. You know, a good performance by Lashley, and you know, very good, good performance as well by Hardcore Holly here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I went a star and 3/4. I thought it was like you said, a solid little match here. Both guys, have no issues being stiff with each other, so they, get some good shots in. Good win, clean win here for Lashley. Kind of keep continuing to establish him. Be interesting to see now what we do with Holly. He's now, he wanted the shot and he's now essentially lost clean. So we'll see what happens with him.
Yeah. So post celebration for Lashley, out comes Snitsky, which I wasn't expecting because we just saw a promo of him saying Snitsky coming to ECW. So I thought, oh, well, maybe they'll just save him for like a couple of weeks, and still play these promos. But no, he's let out of the gate real fast. They gave Snitsky the green light, and he comes out and he gives Lashley a big boot, and then Alabama slam by Hardcore Holly. So, what'd you think of Snitsky making his debut here?
Yeah, I'm with you. I was shocked too, is because like we got the vignette for him, and then all of a sudden here he is, and right off the bat going right after the champion, making a big impact. Got him good with that boot, and then Holly can like put the exclamation point out with the Alabama slam. So it seems like that he's not done yet completely with Lashley. So it'll be interesting to see now if after we get through here with this little program with Holly, if they immediately shoot up Snitsky to that spot. Considering most of the other guys on the roster are now currently intertwined with this originals New Breed feud.
Yeah. Hopefully, Snitsky makes a great impact here on ECW. Now we have Balls Mahoney versus Marcus Corvan, and like you said before, Steve, Balls Mahoney is wearing a neck brace. And they showed a recap of what happened the night before on Monday Night Raw. Mr. McMahon punished Balls Mahoney with Umaga and gave him the Samoan spike. And so Balls Mahoney is in a neck brace here. Marcus Corvan goes straight for the injured neck. A clothesline by Corvan. Balls punches Corvan with his signature strikes. I know it's not called the pounce, but I think it's called like the body blocker. But around here, I don't think they called it that yet. So I said Corvan hits the pounce on Balls and a sleeper for the win. So I went a star and a quarter, Steve, and I remember saying last time that it's time for Marcus Corvan to move up on the roster. Instead of him facing jobbers, let's give him someone like a little Guido. And Balls is fine here. If you're going to want to, if you're trying to put over Marcus Corvan and make him a big bad heel, Balls Mahoney is really perfect because still it's an ECW original versus a New Breed. And Balls seems like a guy that can help get over some of these younger talents here.
Yeah, I agree. I went half a star on it. It was basically a squash. Stryker comes back out. He's now the guest timekeeper for this match, but he doesn't obviously have to do much because Corvan pretty much dispatches of Mahoney quickly. I like smart by Corvan to kind of work on the neck, knowing that that's the hurts body part. The pounce looked good, and interesting this time he finishes with the Cobra Clutch, which makes sense again with Balls' injured neck. So, as I mentioned, I mentioned about like guys who fit in the New Breed mold. Corvan easily fits that mold here. I mean, he just looks so jacked, and he's ripped, and he has that great charisma, and he looks, like you said, looks great here, and now gets a quality win over a named guy like Balls, who does get a little bit protected because they could say that he was hurt and he wasn't at 100%, but still, great win here for Corvan, and he is really getting some momentum here, and he's going to be, I think, the impact player definitely for the new breed.
Yes, I believe. I hope that Marcus Corvan down the road becomes a really good impact player for the new breed as well. And now we have an extreme expose with Kelly, Brooke, and Layla. I said all three girls were looked very hot. I still think Layla's got the best dance moves, followed by Brooke. And then Matt Stryker interrupts and is the special ring announcer for our main event here. And Marcus Corvan is the commentator, and Kevin Thorne is the timekeeper. Wow, Marcus Corvan is the commentator, although he does have some. He's got some sort of talk and like speech, so it kind of makes sense, doesn't it, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, he definitely, as we saw. Yeah, and he's. I mean, this might have been a better spot for Stryker, but I think the fact that he needs, I thought of all of them, Corvan was a fine choice. And just quickly circle back to the extreme expose. I agree with you again. Layla's clearly looking the best. They all looked really hot, and again, Stryker being an asshole, cutting them off.
Yeah. So our main event is Rob Van Dam versus Elijah Burke. RVD bounces off the guardrail, a kick to the back of Elijah's head, a monkey flip by RVD, and a frog splash. The bell rings, and there's confusion. So RVD goes to the frog splash, and he's about to pin him, but Kevin Thorne rings the bell, and like everyone's like, "What's going on?" Elijah Burke gets in a low blow and he pins him. I actually went a star on this one, Steve. I thought it was a lame finish and not that much of spots between RVD and Elijah here. So I went a star because I just thought the main event was boring, but not the post segment of the main event, just what the match was. So 1 star on the match.
I went a star and a half. I thought it was a decent little effort. Obviously, RVD's the underdog here because basically he's got all the odds against him. I thought he and Burke, had some good chemistry there, going back and forth there. And yeah, the ending was a bit confusing because he hits the frog splash and all of a sudden Thorne and Ario ring the bell and then Stryker announces Burke is the winner, which, like you said, leads to the distraction, and then Burke hits the low blow and gets the 3. So pretty much just, angle driven here as RVD basically gets screwed over by the new breed.
Yes. So the new breed starts to gang up on RVD until the originals clean house. They start brawling with the new breed because the match is over. So technically the originals did not interfere in the match. They waited until the bell rang and they started beating up the new breed. A cane shot to Elijah Burke and a chair shot to Corvan as the ECW originals stand tall again. That's going to do it for this episode of ECW. But a nice little opening, a nice little ending here that, the new breed is trying to get one up on the ECW originals, and they do with Corvan, Kevin Thorne, and Elijah Burke getting wins. But then the ECW originals clean house at the end. They stand tall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fine ending here. Like you said, the new breed pretty much dominated the night. All of them getting wins. So the original is currently in a hole. So we'll have to see how they fare next week.
Mm-hmm. So that is going to take us to ECW February 13th, 2007. I forgot. Oh yeah, we're live from Seattle, Washington. Before we get to covering this show, let's talk about Andrew Test Martin, because on the last episode, on the last two episodes, he was there for the rematch of was Test versus Bobby Lashley, the ECW, right after the Royal Rumble. And then he is not seen on the ECW the following week. According to an internet blog by Jim Ross, Test had failed a drug test and was suspended. Upon that announcement, maybe a couple of hours later, Test would actually ask for his release, and he was granted that release. I would say that he felt that he needed to be released and let go because maybe he knew that he had a drug problem, or that he knew that he was on the juice and that he needed help for himself. Like, he knew that he couldn't be in this position to be here in ECW or on the WWE roster because of his juicing. Because when he comes in, we all know that he looks pretty big, and we don't know where that's coming from. So he gets suspended, and then maybe like a couple of days later to that day, he would ask for his release, because February 18th, he would ask for that release, and he was granted that release. So February 18th, 2007 is Test's last WWE day. Your thoughts, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, really all you can say is, he came in with some good hype. He was, they brought him into ECW to be kind of one of their top heels, and for a while there, he did really well. I mean, he was in the Elimination Chamber in December and looked pretty good there. He had the feud with Lashley, but like you said, you just look at him, you just realize he's definitely not healthy, and he needs to get himself together. And I know after this, he does like a really quick run in TNA. I think he's only there for like a month or so under his real name. He was like the Punisher, I think was his nickname, but he doesn't really make much of an impact there. And then like 2 years later in 2009, he tragically passed away. I remember being stunned when I heard he had passed away, because it's like he had, after that TNA run, he had kind of disappeared for a little bit, and then all of a sudden, here he is, you hear he passed away, and it just sucks, because he was a guy who I think had a lot of potential. When you look at him when he first came in '99 as part of the corporation, and then he broke out on his own, and then had this, the angle with dating Stephanie, and then I think when you look at like his breakout match, the match he had with Shane at SummerSlam, I mean, you thought this guy was going to be the next world champion at some point, the way he was getting over and how they were pushing him, and then that all kind of fell apart, and then he has a good little 2000 with TNA, and then he kind of goes back and forth between heel and face through different factions throughout the years, and then he gets released in 2004. Then, like I said, this little comeback here. I think ultimately the thing that's going to define his run is missed potential, unfortunately, and that's really sad to think, because he's a guy that I think had a lot of potential and just never fulfilled it.
Yeah, for me, he always seemed like he was the enforcer, like we all know that the Big Boss Man was the enforcer with the nightstick, but Test was the heavy hand, like with the big boot, and like, he just had like those, like, he had the diving elbow as well, but like the big boot, he's tall. He just seemed like, and he's got the hair too. Like, he always seemed like he was like the bodyguard, and that's what he comes in as. He was supposedly Molly Cruz' bodyguard, and got into wrestling. He was right. Hired hand for the corporation. And I think there was like a little like back and forth rumor as well that it was going to be Test, which I don't know if it was that was the rumor, but like it could have been a really good one, that Test was going to be Stone Cold's replacement at Survivor Series 1999 instead of the Big Show. I don't know if he would have won the title if he was the replacement, but I think the idea was floating around. It's like, well, if Tess is dating Stephanie and Vince hates Triple H, why not just give him his supposed son-in-law the title and the title shot, you know? But they went the Big Show at the end. He sort of reached some heights of being like, you know, Intercontinental and European champion. And he's a multiple tag team champion as well with, you know, Booker T and then the Un-Americans too. So I was surprised when he got released from TNA because I kind of enjoyed watching him as Andrew the Punisher Martin. And I didn't know how short that really was, you know, because like he came in like at like the height in like 07. You know, he debuts in August of 07. I guess he's done by like September or October. So I was really surprised there. And when he passed away, I was stunned. Like, it was like, oh my God, Tess. Like, you know, wasn't he like only like 30? He was like only like 33 or 34 too. So really young. And Tess had all the potential and they just didn't know what to do with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was 33 when he passed away. He had actually he passed away on March 13th, 2009, which was 4 days to what would have been his 34th birthday.
Oh gosh, yeah. And then he was also not at the time, but I know that he and Kelly were dating. I don't know if it was around this time or it was after he got released, but I knew that they had a little fling going on, and she was like really upset like when he passed away and stuff too. So yeah, like there was a little dating going on between Tess and Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
So this is So, you know, on a brighter note, this is the ECW February 13th show, 2007. It's a recap of Hardcore Holly versus Bobby Lashley, and with Snitsky coming in afterwards. We are live in Seattle, Washington. We get Bobby Lashley versus Hardcore Holly, this time, Steve, in an Extreme Rules match. So I like how they turned up the heat a little bit between Lashley and Holly, that they're not done with Hardcore Holly yet, and they give them this one an Extreme Rules match. Punches thrown by both men. Lashley slammed into the table. Belly-to-belly suplex to Holly onto the outside. Holly gets slammed again. A clothesline by Hardcore. Both men go over and out to the crowd. Holly bounces Lashley off the top rope. Holly slams Lashley into the steel chair, but like it looks like it was like his throat first, because like he bounces, like his throat bounces off, and it looks like Lashley can't breathe. You saw that spot, Steve?
Yeah, that was pretty nasty.
Yeah, it was. Holly then kicks the chair into Lashley's face. Then we have Hardcore goes head first into the chair. A huge clothesline by Lashley. A backbreaker by Lashley for a 2 count. A baseball slide by Holly. And then a power slam onto the chair for the 3 count by Lashley to Holly. I went 2 stars. It was a great opening. It's a great opening for ECW here, and a really great matchup between both guys. You know, they gave it their all, and like, you know, with it being Extreme Rules, they stepped it up a notch here. And Hardcore is really great in these Hardcore like Extreme Rules matches.
Yeah, I agree. I went 2.5. I thought it was a really good little match here between these two. I like how early on, like when they're on the outside, Lashley went under the ring for the table, and then like after Hardcore got the advantage, he grabbed the table himself, but then he like put it back under the ring, much to the and really pissed the crowd off. And he was just like, "Screw you! I'm not giving you what you want." Yeah, they just, again, like I said, they had really good chemistry. They really went back and forth with each other. Like you said, that one that chair to the throat was really nasty. And again, another clean win for Lashley. And I know that he actually on that Sunday at No Way Out, he's got a big ECW title match against SmackDown's Mr. Kennedy. So they obviously wanted him to look, strong here with a big win over Holly. And again, now Holly has now lost 2 straight weeks in a row to Lashley clean. So you gotta wonder if he's if this is it for him, or if he's probably if he wants to try to keep this issue going.
Yeah, it is 2 weeks in a row that Lashley is being Hardcore Holly. So let's see where Hardcore. Let's follow. Let's see where Hardcore goes from here after losing again. So we're going to continue now with the ECW Originals versus the New Breed here, as it's Tommy Dreamer and Sandman versus Marcus Corvan and Kevin Thorne. Thorne and Tommy start off. Corvan slams Sandman into the steps. It calls it a body block, so it's the body block to Tommy Dreamer by Corvan. A neckbreaker to Corvan, an elbow by Thorne, attack to the Sandman. He gives the Hurricanrana to Kevin Thorne, and then he gives a white Russian leg sweep to Corvan. Sandman gets hit by the cane by Kevin Thorne for the win. I went 1.5 stars. I enjoyed this tag team matchup. I enjoyed Sandman getting the Hurricanrana and the white Russian leg sweep. Even the heel tactic to win, like Kevin Thorne hitting Sandman with the cane, was really good. Was really good heel move, and so the ECW Originals get one. I mean, the New Breed gets one over on the ECW Originals. So I went 1.5 stars here.
Yeah, I went 1.75 stars. Really quick, actually, before the match, we had another Extreme Expose where the girl, Kelly, Layla, and Brooke did did some more dancing, and then that was interrupted by Thorne and Ariel. So once again, they get interrupted. But the match itself, again, was decent. Both teams looked pretty good. I thought Corvan and Thorne make a really interesting pairing, but it works well. And then obviously Dreamer and Sandman have teamed up before, so they obviously work well together. I agree that Thorne using the cane to win was nice little bit of chicanery there. But I don't know if you noticed this, but apparently during the pin, one of Sandman's shoulders wasn't down, so the ref completely blew that one. But either way, it was still a good win for the New Breed. And again, the Originals are on their heels.
Yeah, I remember Joey. I think it was like Joey or Taz was like, "Oh, well, the shoulder was up anyway, so I don't know why the referee counted 3, but the Originals got screwed here." So, yeah, bad botch by the referee. I don't know if they knew or not, but Sandman's shoulder was up.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have, for the 9th time, we haven't seen in a while anyway, so who's really counting? CM Punk versus Mike Knox. Knox slams Punk face first, a drop kick by Knox, running knee and bulldog by Punk, the Uranagi, and then the Anaconda vice grip by Punk for the win. I would go like 1 star, basically. It's like a casual CM Punk match with Mike Knox. Mike Knox is learning a couple of new holds though, but still, it's 1 star basically. It's just like CM Punk getting back on TV and making Knox tap out here.
Yeah, I went 1.25 stars. The heat for this is pretty much all gone at this point. I mean, I don't even think Joey and Taz kind of brought up the whole fact that it was Kelly's infatuation with Punk that's led to her and Knox splitting up. So kind of funny that these two finally get their last blow off here, and by this point Knox and Kelly have moved on from each other. So it's pretty much, I think, just a showcase here for Punk as he gets the fairly easy win here over Knox. and then I'm sure you'll talk about what happens afterwards.
Yeah, so CM Punk celebrates his win, and out comes Snitsky. He gives CM Punk a beating. Snitsky gives CM Punk the clothesline and the big boot treatment. So, Steve, looks like Gene Snitsky here is the new test because Snitsky here is looking pretty big. And, I think he was here to replace Test. If they knew that, well, Test is going to work out, get us a new big guy here. So let's see if Snitsky wants to do it. So Snitsky does look big here as well. Not as big as Test, but, seems like he's powerhouse, to take someone's head off. And he does it here, and he did it last week with Bobby Lashley. I'm kind of glad that they didn't go the route of, feed Snitsky to Bobby Lashley right away. They're playing it off as, that was just a one thing, but we'll see where it goes. But I'm glad that it didn't get to the point where it was, Snitsky versus Lashley. They're letting Snitsky ease in and just beat up on everybody here.
Yeah, I agree, because I think if you're looking at this, you're probably thinking to yourself, wait, didn't Snitsky go after Lashley last week? Why is he going after Punk this week? I think it's just, Snitsky just attacking random people, and I think that's also why they had the previous week, even after Snitsky did attack Lashley, that Holly got the last shot in with the Alabama Slam to kind of keep let us know that Holly's still going to be having the issues with Lashley, and that Snitsky's just going to be just attacking random people. For now, until he gets into a feud with somebody.
Yes, he will. Well, Steve, it is believe it or not, it is time for the main event of this show as well. And just like the last one between the ECW Originals and the New Breed, we get another tag team match between ECW Originals and New Breed. It is Rob Van Dam and Sabu versus Elijah Burke and Matt Striker. Striker and Sabu start off. A DDT to Striker. A somersault by Sabu. Tag to RVD and Burke. Sidekick by RVD to Striker. Double leg drop by Sabu and RVD. A clothesline by Burke to Sabu. A monkey flip to Burke. Clothesline to Striker. The Rolling Thunder to Burke. RVD dives onto Striker. Sabu misses a leg dive to Burke. And then Elijah gets the pinfall after Sabu misses that leg dive. I went 1.5 here. The finish seemed a little bit, not really though, but I felt like Sabu lost his balance a little bit towards the leg drop, but it was a good, nice little miss by Sabu and for Elijah Burke to get the win here. So I went, like I said, 1.5 stars.
Yeah, I went 2 stars. I thought this was a good little tag main event to close the show. Obviously, Sabu and RVD, have great chemistry together from their early days in ECW. And then I thought and then Burke and Striker looked pretty good here as a team. They got some good time there, about 7 minutes. And it definitely looked like Sabu had, got caught up there in the ropes and almost looked pretty bad. But I think Burke also kind of got his foot up there too to kind of, to assist with that. So he got the little last word in there. And again, for the second week in a row now, the New Breed basically pitched a shutout against the Originals, and it's looking like the New Breed pretty much have the Originals number.
Yeah, the New Breed is standing tall here as the ECW Originals did last week. They're raising their hands in triumph. So hopefully Mr. McMahon is watching and, praises the New Breed a little bit more and starts giving them maybe some title shots, but also, just little pushes here and there for the New Breed as well.
Yeah, they're in a really interesting spot because you got this, this feud going on between these two groups. Meanwhile, you have Lashley as champion, kind of like on an island onto himself, doing his own little thing. Like I said, this feud with Holly, and as I said, he's got the match of No Way Out with Kennedy. So it's kind of interesting to see, this. It's almost like the originals new breed feud is now kind of becoming the main crux of ECW, while Lashley, who's your champion, is almost kind of playing second fiddle to them after getting such a big moment there at December to December, winning the title, kind of being pushed as the face of the brand. And now all of a sudden he's kind of I mean, obviously, as we'll see, he's got, something really big about to come down the pike. But for now, you're kind of looking at it like he's playing second fiddle to this originals new breed feud.
Yeah, and I wanted to bring that up. I didn't know that is No Way Out the Sunday from this ECW episode.
It is, yes.
Oh, okay, yeah. I didn't even know. Like, No Way Out kind of just like crept up on me. Usually they announce these things like, "Oh, Ashley's got a title defense." I don't even think I heard mention of it. That's kind of bad on ECW's part, not mentioning who they're going up against.
Right. Well, I don't know if the match had been announced yet, but I know that none of the guys on the ECW have a match at No Way Out, because it's still technically a SmackDown show. Even though you've got obviously the big main event for that show was Cena and Shawn against Taker and Batista.
That's right.
So, but again, at least it gets ECW a little bit of representation on the show, even if it is the champion going against going in a random match against a SmackDown guy.
I think for Lashley's case, you do need SmackDown guys like to challenge, because you can't really feed him the heels anymore on ECW, because there's not many heels. There are heels, but there's not that many. So you do need a SmackDown heel here and there to go up against Lashley for these pay-per-view events until ECW establishes its roster and gets the heels in order here, because we know who the heels are, but I don't think that the WWE writers know what to do with the ECW heels yet. So this little feud is going well here because we don't know what we're going to do, and I don't think any of these guys were yet ready to face Lashley to represent the new breed here for an ECW title shot. So props to WWE for giving us this ECW originals and new breed feud here and letting Lashley venture off onto his own here, but still representing with Hardcore Holly as well. Because, CM Punk, also is in his own little island too, but he's just getting started. So you can't really, force Punk into these factions yet, because he's still getting started as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you don't want to force Punk into facing Lashley, because then you're gonna that's gonna hurt Lashley, I think, a lot more, because clearly the crowd would side with Punk, and they obviously don't want Lashley to lose the title yet to Punk. So you're kind of you're kind of almost kind of backed into a corner, because, like you said, right now the best heels on ECW are in the new breed who are feuding with the originals. So you really got nobody believable for Lashley on ECW to challenge Lashley on ECW. So, like you said, giving him a guy like like a Kennedy on from SmackDown is a good enough pick for him, especially for pay-per-view.
Yeah. So obviously we want to know what's going to happen with Lashley as after the results of No Way Out. Where does his ECW originals versus new breed feud go from here as it continues marching on? And what will become of Snitsky, who just arrived on the scene and he made an impact by attacking Bobby Lashley, but also just annihilated Punk too. So I want to see where Snitsky goes as also we march on to WrestleMania 23. One more question, Steve. I don't know if it was announced. Did Undertaker make his did Undertaker tell everyone, make his announcement on who he was going to fight for, which championship he's going to fight for yet here?
Yes, so that was back on the February 5th Raw before the first episode of ECW that we reviewed. They did a big thing where Cena, Lashley, and Batista were all in the ring. Taker came out. He looked at all three of them, and then he did like the throat slit to Batista, implying basically saying like I'm challenging you for the title. So Taker Batista was now officially set. And then later that night actually was when Shawn defeated Edge and Randy Orton to get the WWE title shot against Cena. So the two main titles are now set for Mania, and that was like I mentioned, the big hook for No Way Out was the Cena Shawn versus Batista Taker tag match. So it's the two main events going against each other.
Just imagine what could have been if Undertaker gave the throat slit to Lashley. ECW Extreme Rules match for the ECW title. Undertaker versus Bobby Lashley, because he's Undertaker can still go through tables and stuff. He can still take chair shots. Not really though, but he was still doing it at this time. So imagine if that was Undertaker's choice in the Extreme Rules match for the title. I could have seen that. That would have been awesome.
It would have been interesting to see. It also would have been interesting to see, given the push that Lashley's getting right now, if he would have been the one to break the streak.
Oh yeah, it was they were on the 14-0 there too. So yeah, it could have been interesting to see all the mighty ruler Bobby Lashley. Well, before we wrap things up here on Extreme Resurrection, Steve, do you have anything you can direct our listeners to on the other Place to Be podcast shows or other things?
Yeah, so you can usually find me over on the PTB Pop Experience. I have a couple of shows over there. I have Pop Goes to Classics, where myself, Andy Atherton, and Miranda Berthold are going through all the Disney animated films. This month we will be discussing Hercules as we hit this the second half here of the Disney Renaissance with some of these kind of lesser known films of that period. I also have Making Mount Rushmore, where me and a group of people come on and we basically discuss various topics. It's a lot of fun to do with some great voices. And of course, I also have the Video Jukebox Song of the Day, where it's mainly, right now, it's pretty much just been myself and Andy kind of going back and forth with a bunch of different videos. But basically, we watch a music video and we talk about it. It's a great way to kind of start your day. It's every Monday through Friday. We have various theme weeks every other week. Like this month, we did a theme week on for Weird Al Yankovic to kind of commemorate the biography film that came out on him, Weird the Al Yankovic Story. So be sure to check all that stuff out. Be sure to check out everything else on the Pop feed, as well as the North-South Connection feed. Lots of great shows going on over there. And be sure to follow us on our PTB Facebook page. Lots of great discussions and questions. Of course, we have occasional tournaments going on. So if you want to get involved, just give us a shout. We'll invite you onto the Facebook page. So lots of great stuff there.
Yes, indeed. And you can find me, I was recently a guest in the Ruthlessly Aggressive podcast with Jacob Williams over on the North-South Connection feed. We covered No Way Out 2003. You can look back on that as we give our thoughts on the return of Stone Cold. And as Jacob gets on the march to WrestleMania 19. And you can also find me by the time this drops, or around the time that this drops, you can find me on the Place to Be Nation Mothership podcast, where me, Justin, and Scott, we went through the vaults into Unforgiven 2008. We covered that show, which featured 3 championship scramble matches from Cleveland, Ohio. So be sure to check that out when that drops as well. Well, that's going to do it from us here tonight on Extreme Resurrection. He's Steve Riddle. I'm James Gruenberg, and we will see you next time.
I heard you've been looking for me, but you look for trouble. You're gonna see that at you. Your words are dangerous, your talk is cheap. So now I'm standing here, now I'm standing here. You tell yourself you know what to do when you realize that I am coming for you. Then you'll change your mind and run like a child when you see me standing here. Now I'm standing here. Don't question my heart. Don't question the fire that burns inside. Don't question my heart. Don't question a heart prepared to fight. What? I got where I am 'cause I didn't chase fame. And I've seen you before and you're all the same. Just one more mouth talking words insane. Just one more mistake with different names. Don't question my heart. Don't question the fire that burns inside. Don't question my heart. Don't question a heart prepared to fight. What? I heard you looking for me. I'm standing here still.